Good morning, bon dia, buenos dias, bonjour. This is one of our last plenaries that we're going to have in this academy. We are almost at the end. Today is Thursday, tomorrow Friday is going to be the last day of the academy. You won't believe it. It goes fast. And today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, one of the very interesting topics from my point of view, in the sense that we are really going to talk about what is happening on the ground in cities. We are talking about the SDGs, social solidarity economy, and local economic development. So and we have invited some very interesting panelists for that. I will just introduce you to Sara Hoeflich, who is working for United Cities and Local Governments, UCLG. Sara will take over the moderation of today's panel. She is part of UCLG already for many years, so she has been traveling around these cities. UCLG is a kind of United Nations of the cities. It's a very interesting organization, a very interesting network. And she's also she's the director of the learning team in UCLG. So Sara, thank you so much for being with us and for moderating this panel here. We are really excited to hear more about different cities all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Martin, and thanks to ILO, as always, for the big confidence they and trust they have in our organization, United Cities and Local Government. And in particular, I'm very pleased to be here as part of the Academy on Social and Solidarity Economy, which is one of the really critical points, in particular for our members now in the recovery phase of the pandemic the world is in. And also, of course, we will do here in this session, we build the relation with the Sustainable Development Goals and the global agendas. So I'm very happy that we really speak here worldwide, as you say, Martin. We have representatives from Europe, from Asia, from Africa, and from Latin America. So it's wonderful that we can count on so many different speakers. But first of all, I would like to give you a little bit of an idea what is our understanding of localizing the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDG. So United Cities and Local Government, we are the voice and also the official representatives of local governments in the United Nations. And when the Sustainable Development Goals were defined and discussed, this was an extraordinary, very participatory process. And our members, many of them you will see in a while, were really engaged because they believe in global policy making. They need the United Nations, and United Nations is not only nations, as you well said, our organization UCLG, and we also gather in a global task force all the networks of local governments. So we see that we are also a sphere of government. Our local governments are also government, and they also are policy makers and deciders. So local government do policy that are helping to implement and to address the SDG. And in this is our understanding of localization. So localization is not only bringing this global agenda down to the territories. So you can imagine we have 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Of course, the SDG 8 is so relevant for the ILO, but not only, there are also many others, SDG 11 on urban development, on innovation, many. And for the local governments, all the SDGs are relevant because they usually have a variety of policies they directly design or they implement, which are then to achieve this SDG. So actually, researchers made an overview in the beginning of this rollout agenda that 60% of the SDG will require local government policies and local government commitment and action. So, of course, now we have open doors in the United Nations. Everybody knows how important is local government, because local government is the one who is close to the citizens, who is close to the processes, to the challenges of the territories. And so under localization, we also understand to make this effort clear. So we have different systems, the voluntary local reviews, which are a component which complements the voluntary national review. But we also have a lot of campaigns local government do for their citizens, so that everybody really is engaged in this important agenda. And if we see this is a movement, now we are in the decade of action, we are in the decade of implementation, and this is increasing the attention and the interests in local governments, because of course now really everybody is worried. What can we do? We have an ambitious global goals. We have a planet that is not growing. It is shrinking many of our resources. So what can we do and who is doing? And who is doing? We often go back then to mayors, to councillors, to look how this initiative, how they can also work with the communities. And here is the social and solidarity economy is hosted, because it is hosted in this relation between local communities and local governments. So the social and solidarity economy requires, of course, a minimum regulatory framework, which many times is very diverse, and we will know because it is done ad hoc by local governments that are not really empowered often to provide so many services as they do. So usually they provide more services for local economic development and also for local and for social and solidarity economy than they are concretely demanded for, because the community wants them to do it, and they see that it is an important tool to empower and to make local development stronger and really owned. So this is what we will see in the table now. And I'm very happy to introduce our speakers now. I will first give you the names of all, so you can be curious what will be coming. And I'm so happy that we have many ladies today with us. Maybe it is also not by chance. We can really say, observing when we also look into our LED forum, which is a global movement for local economic development, we always have many women, because women usually empower others as like a female leadership, we can say, often is a caring leadership, is an empowering leadership. So the coaching is familiar to many of our female leaders. And so maybe it is not just by chance, but we of course really also happy to have some men with us. And I'm happy we have Ana Umbelino from Portugal, we have Madelaine Yorobe from Philippines, the same from Philippines, Stephany, and we have Mayor Daniel Sucupira from Brazil, and Aminata Diop from Senegal. So my first speaker and my first invitation goes to Portugal, our host country of this event. And I'm happy that Ana is with us. She is a councillor for Torres. I have to spend this now well. Torres Vedras or Vedras, yeah. And so she is also the spokesperson, the official spokesperson of the Association of Municipalities and of intermunicipal networks for the cooperation and development. She's also co-president of the European Network of Cities and Regions for Social Economy, and is actually extremely active. So I see you are absolutely connected, Anna. You have so many tasks, and we are very, very interested to hear from your side some concrete experience related to the role of social and solidarity economy. I understand that in your city also it helps to create decent jobs during the crisis, the pandemic. So how did the SSEO react to the crisis, and what difference did the city's policy make to this? Anna, the floor is yours. You have 8 minutes to tell us your story.
Thank you very much, Sara. Bom dia a todos e a todas.
Good morning to all of you. Thank you very much for your questions and for the opportunity to participate in this session that brings together qualified and perspectives aiming to build a true ecology of ideas. Indeed, the current pandemic and ecological crisis we are experiencing have precipitated a wider and more intense reflection on the way we inhabit the world, driving the revision of the dominant socio-economic development models. It is against this historical background of startling and blatant emergency that the role of municipalities are trying to bring new ways to the communities, and a challenge as well to have new aspirations and also showing to a better future. We believe this is the moment, in fact, to leverage the promotion of organization of social and solidarity economies based on multi-levels and greater knowledge of the local network, articulated also with other governance levels. It is therefore needed to start with the implementation of methodologies, investigation, research based on the local development. And here in Portugal, the satellite account of the CASES is offering this wide range of information to assess public policies, and is also giving a framework in order to understand the different contexts without which the ecosystem of proximity and the different guidelines would always be more fragile. So, facing these needs, Torres Vedras has created the Center for Studies, Social Economy Studies, elaborating the first atlas of the social economy. The first edition started and to try to see a mapping of the different organizations that are present in the region. It has enabled the identification of a set of elements that promote the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals, namely the significant heterogeneity of entities capable of contributing with different economic models to the self-organization of communities. And the main beneficiaries of their action, often representing groups of significant socio-economic vulnerability, the associative mass mobilizing the participation and involvement of the communities, the existence of entities representing and managing the vulnerable social group, or the social group risk of social exclusion, highlighting it that the municipality has a higher percentage of entities integrating workers of foreign nationality. And then the significant use of voluntary work. As weaknesses, we found that about 90% of the organizations do not use social impact measurement methods. And for this reason, in partnership with the cooperative, we are investing in capacity building for impact management and evolution through a community of practice that favors cooperative learning. It should be noted that the second edition of the Atlas of the Social Economy, taking place in the context of pandemic, seeks to identify and analyze the main effects and transformations that the pandemic crisis produces in the daily lives and the future projects of these organizations. It is recognized that these years of the pandemic created diverse conditions for social economy organizations. Some will have felt their impacts more than others, but for many, the last 2 years were of enormous exceptionality, giving rise to significant changes in their daily way of working, as well as important losses. New responses and practices also emerged, seeking to combat or mitigate the effects of the pandemic context at different levels. Knowledge about the exceptionality of this situation and its effects is therefore of profound relevance. And therefore, we believe it's important to invest in this kind of relationship, always analyzing the local dynamics and always trying to have action plans and the measures that we want to implement. Of course, always based on the governance model, collaboration that will bring the different stakeholders. I also would like to stress the importance within the ecosystem or the development ecosystem promoting the social economy. As we all know, it is placing human or very human-centered at the core of this model, and therefore it is a fundamental tool so that we can implement all the goals linked to the 2030 agenda, but also to the European Pact, and also to the social pillars, and also from the other roles. So I'd like to stress here our experience and how important the importance we also give to the recognition of the social and solidarity economy as a tool for territorial development. And answering the question, Sara's question, this really means a major difference when all these social economy organizations are being developed. We can have, in fact, a better management system and not just about survival. Now, to apply all these social clauses allows us, in fact, to use these and to create employment and also to favor the social inclusion, people, handicapped people, or also marginalized, and also having access to services. And these can also create incentives so that the companies can also have a better management and sustainable management, and also hiring these kind of people. And this, of course, will bring some new changes. So this is not only for the social part, but also public accounts. And we believe this is also important to understand the social and labor conditions, namely for the social pillar. And by doing this, in terms of the environment as well, with, for instance, also using the local products, this also helps for the decarbonization and for the European Pact. So in Torres Vedras, the program, the school feeding sustainability program, is based on responsible public procurement, materializing the principles that I've mentioned. And it covers the preschool and the first cycle of basic education, and also some secondary schools. And this program seeks social, economic, environmental and nutritional sustainability through the improvement of the meals served to each child. It is based on a collaborative micro-network that brings together local authorities, just like Torres Vedras Municipal Council, parish councils, local producers, social economy organizations, and school groupings. Food products are purchased exclusively from small and medium-sized producers and local suppliers, and include more recently organic products. Now, this consortium contributes to the increase in the turnover of local producers and suppliers, benefiting the net creation of jobs. And up to now, 60 new jobs were created. And also the reduction of the carbon footprint associated with transport through short agri-food chains. The meals are prepared and distributed mostly by social economy organizations, anchored in the various communities, with strong incidence in rural areas, contributing to the financial balance of these institutions, because there is, in fact, this idea of maximizing their capacities. And simultaneously, they also want to have the integrated development of low-density areas of our territory that are not so highly populated. And so we need to have different conditions. Now, this network, which generates social and economic value and greater environmental sustainability, stands as an alternative to a previous model resulting from public procurement processes based on the criterion of lowest price. And it shows that we can get organized locally, and through the cooperation, we can build models that promote a higher benefits also for people, and based on these principles, which we believe are those that are part of the references that I've just mentioned. Now, to conclude, I would like to emphasize that within the framework of cooperation, we've been bridging distances with other cities, as the importance of sharing good practices and promoting mutual learning and innovation in the construction of a culture that promotes community entrepreneurship. Because at the end of the day, social and solidarity economy is about promoting communities and is very much linked to the territory. The network of cities, European capital of the social economy, which we integrate with CASES, embodies this constellation and weaves a new narrative for the social and solidarity-based economy in its relationship with local authorities. And when looking at this sector, always in a relationship, integrated and shared manner, always to try to develop locally, and trying to find also bridges with values, and bridging all these values. We want to create, therefore, a common social economy area animated by a common ideal and a shared task that rescues us from the daily management and builds new horizons of demands and possibilities. Because without dreaming, and if we just leave our utopia, it's just about managing and reacting and nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. And I'm very grateful that here our speakers do not use slides and PowerPoint presentation, because as you will see now, Anna, I think the two examples and the two lessons we will learn now from the Philippines will very much speak to what you just said. It is really interesting how much energy and power leads to very similar results. So I'm very happy to introduce now to Madelaine Yorobe. She is mayor to the city of Iriga, which is in the Philippines. It is an intermediary city, which is very beautiful, but also it is a very vulnerable city because it is very often hit by natural disasters. Madelaine is in her second term, I think, as mayor. And what is in particular my pleasure, that she is part of our presidency. So she is actually our treasurer to our global network of United Cities and Regions. So Madelaine, so thank you so much you are here with us, and we would like to know you have a very dense grid of local initiative, you have very active communities such as those just now described by Anna. And how did the social and solidarity economy perform during the pandemic period in your cities? So maybe you can tell us about your policies and measures that have enabled social and solidarity economy to expand in terms of numbers of units. And also many of your initiatives are driven by women. So maybe Madelaine, thank you so much for coming, and you can give us an insight here for the next 8 minutes.
Yes, Ma'am Sara. Thank you very much for having me. It's really an honor and privilege to be part of this assembly. And I agree with Mom Anna, actually. She said that we have to capitalize more on our political, no, in our economic drivers, such as in our locality. But to give you a brief idea where Iriga City is, Iriga City, actually, the demographics, has a population of 114,000 in 2020. And under the Philippine Statistics Authority census, and an average growth rate of 0.78% per annum. The population is distributed over 27,252 households in the 36 villages of the city, with an average household size of 4.2. Our class is fourth class city, situated in the southern part of the island of Luzon. Iriga City has developed as the center of trade, commerce, and industries in Rinconada area, in our fifth district, and as growth center in the Bicol region. Its economic base is more on agriculture, with farming as the main source of livelihood, and with MSMEs ranking second in terms of contribution to the economy of the city. Actually, Ma'am Sara said a while ago that aside from the pandemic, we have several natural disasters that comes in our way. Sometimes it's earthquake, eruption, volcanic eruption, and we have several volcanoes that surrounds us, and we are usually visited by 7 to 8 typhoons in a year, and it usually happens on the last season, on the last part of the year. It started on October, November, or somewhere in December. So out of total area of 16,000 hectares, 78.6% is agriculture. We have farmer cooperatives, associations, and organized undertaking supply of agricultural inputs, joint production and agricultural marketing, and other wide range of services, such as improved access to markets, natural resources, information, communications, technologies, credit, training, and warehouses. We prepared actually a video. I don't know if Sir Martin has received my video, so we would like to share this with all of you. Sir Martin,
I'm not sure if maybe you go ahead.
Okay. So
and in the meantime, I will check with Martin if he has got the video.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
In the meanwhile, I would like to explain that the city is likewise making its contribution to the country's commitment to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The institutionalizing reform initiatives and government agenda for sustainable development goals is a framework for localizing the SDGs by grouping the 17 goals into 7 clusters. Each cluster is assigned to a particular development sector with responsible agencies, like Cluster 1, Economic Development Sector, that includes SDG goals like SDG number 1, 2, 8, and 12. The social and solidarity economy of the city is anchored on agriculture and MSMEs. We practically concentrated more on the two aspects, namely agriculture and MSMEs, to encourage and promote self-help as an engine for economic growth and poverty alleviation, and to advance social justice, equity, and economic development. These farmers and business cooperatives and associations are empowered, and they are all accredited as members of the City Development Council. So we adhere to the idea of bottom up, wherein all the programs and projects came from the people's participation. So it's them who usually decides as to what particular project or program that they would like to prioritize, and that's a time that we have to discuss it in the council, and then we call that a bottom up strategy. And also, these farmers and business cooperatives and associations are empowered and accredited. and other special bodies of the city to ensure their participation in the planning, implementation, and monitoring of programs and integration of PPAs that addresses their issues and challenges to the different plans of the city. Because we believe that the city government can only do so much. In order for us to become progressive and to be successful in all our endeavors, we have to have community participation, and we have to ask everyone to support and help us in deciding as to what primordial concern or priorities that we have to implement in our city. The COVID-19 outbreak has extremely shaken the basic fundamentals of society, affecting the lives of our people. The health catastrophe, imagine we have pandemic, and during the pandemic, we were visited by 3 super typhoons, and it was subsequent 3 super typhoons in a year. Only 1 week, the gap is only 1 week and about. And the pandemic has paralyzed the consumer-dominated economy as activities were put on a standstill, and adversely affected are the agricultural and micro, small, and medium enterprises. But the city formulated and adopted the following strategies so as to address the impact of economic breakdown. So we concentrated on agriculture. So what we did with agriculture is we enhanced agricultural productivity and generate high production of value from agriculture and fishery products. We also strengthen and intensify monitoring of farming activities, engage in value-added activities in agriculture and fishery production, strengthen marketing access on agri-products, and promotion and development of farmers, cooperatives, association, organization, and provision of capacity building and technical assistance. And also, we promote farm diversification. So meaning we just don't concentrate on one particular product, but we also have to encourage everyone not only to focus on vegetables, on corn, rice, but we might as well also focus on fisheries and pork and cow production. And also, we have to enhance skills and knowledge of farmers and fisher folks, encourage youth to engage in agri-fishery operations, because that's the problem right now. Youth are not being encouraged to participate more in farming, but they'd rather play Mortal Kombat or ML, or they'd rather be in technology. And also ensure unhampered movement of food and production items, continue price monitoring, then strengthen online marketing. We really have to go back to basic, and we have to concentrate more on the 3 important factors. These are the food, shelter, and what else is the other one? Food, shelter, and health. So also ensure we continue provision of credit and insurance programs. And on MSMEs, we have our negosyo center activities. We concentrate and conduct trainings on seminars for MSMEs who excel in local craft such as bamboo, coconut products, furniture, decor and housewares, food products, and others. Also on livelihood and entrepreneurial skill programs for low-income families and MSMEs startups. Provision of continuing micro-enterprise and livelihood development. Projects of the middle and low-income facilities or families. Returning OFWs, meaning overseas Filipino workers. We call them expatriated. They have no job in abroad, so they'd rather go home. And then we also have the locally stranded individuals who were working probably in other municipalities, other cities, or other areas, and then they decided to come home. And then also promote high value manufacturing and marketing in industrial or ecozones. And apparently we are very lucky enough because we have other infrastructure programs, like we have infrastructures like we're building our amusement park, and through that we can create employment. And also we have our ICT building, we call it IT building. Our 3rd floor is purely for call center agents. As we all know, the capital of call centers are India and Philippines. And also on our second floor, we have a working space. Working space, meaning if the MSMEs or any person who would like to put up their own business, they can even rent a certain space in our second floor building with a very minimal amount. And also we tend to teach them how to and educate them with bookkeeping and all that in order to equip them. And then we have an incubation period of 6 months, wherein after teaching them and after monitoring them, at least we have 6 months incubation, and we tend to monitor if they're really working well or not. And then we can also help them with the website with their online marketing. So we also have financial institutions, and also our city offers lending or loan procedure or process, or an institution wherein they can also borrow with a minimal interest. So we have actually 13 commercial banks as of today in our city, and we have 45 lending institutions. So we were able to organize all the lending institutions to at least help the new entrepreneurs and the youth entrepreneurs, and then at least to finance their proposal and their business. So we have no choice but to survive, and we have to resilient in every way we can. So this is the way we believe that we can help all the individuals who were really affected by the pandemic. So hopefully you will learn, or you've learned from us, and
Yes.
at the same time we will also learn from you, because everything is a learning experience and a learning process for all of us. So Ma'am Sara, thank you very much. And hopefully pandemic will be finished or will be done. But as of now, we have 60% fully vaccinated, and hopefully this December we will be able to
Yeah.
hit the target to reach the herd immunity. So I guess that's the only way how we can survive the normal our
Yeah.
normal norm right now. So again, thank you for having me.
No, thank you very much, Mayor Madelaine. And there are already comments here in the chat coming. I hope that also, please don't hesitate, participants, to raise questions, because yeah, I hope that Mayor Madelaine can be a little bit more with us. Also, maybe providing a little bit of numbers, because you told incredible stories. But we also know in Philippines, the budget possibility of municipalities are limited. So you do a lot with little budget, and it would be very good to see this a little bit in figures and numbers. And fortunately, we have another experience of Philippines, also very dynamic. And I'm so happy that Stephany, who is a city councillor of Catbalogan, is with us. Actually, your city is also very famous in Philippines. I think Mayor Madelaine gave us an overview of the incredible energy which is a result of being so close to the community. And in your city, I understand you also have really a lot of cooperatives. So you invest and you accompany the organization structures. And we have seen many fields from let's say, I don't know the name in English, but you have every food, fashion, many ways of supporting work and incubating small initiatives. So Stephany, we are so excited to have you here, and to hear, please be on time to use 8 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sara. Good morning, everyone. And thank you for this opportunity. It's really an honor to be here and to be part of this activity. And congratulations for, I know this is the ending of the whole program, but again, thank you that I'm part of this. I would like to say hi to my friend, Mayor Madelaine. Okay, so from Catbalogan City. Catbalogan City is the capital of Samar Island. It's the third largest island in the Philippines. The city of Catbalogan has made series of interventions with the different sectors of the society, giving emphasis to those groups, cooperatives, associations, farmers, fisherfolks, persons with disabilities, senior citizens, or the elderly, youth, or individuals at the grassroots level. These sectors, when capacitated and given importance, will be the driving force towards a local economic development. Before pandemic, the city has been supporting small entrepreneurs in the women's sector. We believe that no one should be left behind, so we really focus on the different marginalized sectors and other sectors of the community. One of the major projects of the city is institutionalizing the city cooperatives office, which is often neglected by other local governments. We believe that cooperatives and associations play a major role in the local economic development. As an LGU, for the building activities on entrepreneurship, gender and development, cooperativism, organizational and personality development, and many others. Among these capability developments, we have effective customer service training, good housekeeping, women career and personality development, credit and risk management, and others. We also provided skills trainings to cooperative farmers, vendors, housewives, would-be entrepreneurs in order to maximize their talents, skills, and resources, thereby avoiding wastage of products. We also thought value-adding products out of the raw materials that they have in order to earn a bigger income and expand their existing market. We conducted skills training for fish processing, vegetable processing, skills training on enhancing dressmakers group to expand their products and increase their production. We have a continuous year-round technical assistance and guidance given to these groups to ensure the sustainability of their operation. We also provided livelihood financial assistance on a startup capital for new entrepreneurs or to augment the existing capital for those who already have businesses. Sewing machines, rice milling, and others. We also have vending cart wheels or nego cart as startup products. We provided water refilling business packages. And also, we made sure that cooperatives are very active in the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. They also serve us, in return, they serve the community, and they would like to be part of the solution to other concerns of the city. They do mangrove planting, cleanup drives, and participating in most, if not all, of our councils and special bodies. Another group that we would like to emphasize is the persons with disability. We believe that this group is very important because they played major.
You are interrupted, Stephany. I think we have problems hearing you. Stephany? I'm afraid. Stephany, try. You have switched off your camera. Try to speak now. Okay. Well, if this is not working, I think, Stephany, it is very interesting, and we will maybe remain you for finalizing afterwards. Yeah, so we go now ahead with the next presenter and come back to allow Stephany to finalize. So is the Mayor Daniel Sucupira with us? I think yes, no? So the Mayor Daniel he is the Prefeito de Teófilo Otoni in Brazil. So I'm sorry, now we have to improvise, but I think we can later come back to Stefan. Are you back?
Yes, ma'am, I'm back. Sorry,
Okay.
Ma'am Sara.
So then,
Okay, sorry for that.
okay, then please conclude. So sorry, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so after I was talking about the persons with disability.
Yes.
So we tap them because we believe that they can be part of the
Again. Stephany, again, we have the same problem. Stephany? Stephany, try without video. Try doing only audio. Stephany? Yeah, it is a pity. But I think, Stephany, in order to, if you hear me, let's now go with the next speakers. So you have time to try to make another connection, okay? If not, we have little time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, I'm back. I'm really sorry for that. There's a
Okay, then make another try. But if not, I will continue with the other speakers and you will have time in the end, okay?
Okay, so for now, I'll just have to consume my remaining time.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So I was saying about the persons with disability, we granted them different income generating programs for them to really be part of this. We call this no one should be left behind. So we believe that they're part of this. The youth organizations are also having their way to also be part of the local economic drivers. We gave them trainings and programs, and also granted financial assistance for startup. Again, like Madelaine, we have incubation time for them. We give capital money for them to start. Because I have limited time, I would like to go directly that even during this challenging time of COVID-19 pandemic, we did not stop our support it because we all know that pandemic resulted to even reduce daily income to families. In connection to this, we were able to ease the business permits and licensing system of the city, and we made sure that that we have loans for them accessible for our small, medium enterprise and entrepreneurs. And we continued our programs and added projects that are in demand during this pandemic, such as providing financial assistance, startup trainings on how to make cloth masks and others, distributing sewing machines, and of course, connecting to consumers. Cooperatives of different sectors like farmers and fisher folks were also strengthened and more empowered even after pandemic, because we believe that after pandemic, this is actually a high time for everyone to earn more. Everything that I've said could be a contributor to the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, but we will still continue to do it and to strive more, because it is we still have until 2030 to do it, and I'm sure that all the local governments units are doing their parts and localizing the Sustainable Development Goals. In the end, I would like to again said that a lot has been done to help boost the local economy in the city, but there is still room for more services to be offered and innovation to be introduced and incorporated in order to be globally competitive, because the competition now economically will really matter for local governments or small cities if we are competitive enough to national level or to global level. Thank you very much, Sara, and to all the participants. I'm sorry for the technical issue, and I would like to hear some questions and would love to answer them. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, Stephany. And of course, it's not your fault. We completely understand the difficulties. And however, you gave us really important message, in particular, also the last one, that of course, if we look on social and solidarity economy, this is not that we only look on small scale. We have to be globally competitive. This is a very important statement. And we can bridge on this relation later on in the question and answer session. Also, please think a little bit about the numbers. The same, US government have just so much activities, and despite COVID, it seems you have even been increasing all the support you have been giving in order to keep your economic grid alive. So now we go to Daniel Sucupira, and I'm very happy to have here a well-known mayor, prefeito from Teófilo Otoni de Brazil. So to you, the question also is related to the pandemic, because of course we all have been looking TV and watching the struggle you had in order to maintain basic services and establish also health measures. And at the same time, of course, Brazil is known for a very dense grid of small enterprise and even micro enterprise. So in particular, we have also seen pictures if what sector that we would call informal sector in the closing of the pandemic had a lot of trouble. So how do you establish policies to avoid negative impact to those people, to leave no one behind? And how did you build trust in the public sector support measures? We would like to hear your story, Mayor.
Muito bom dia. É prazer muito.
Good morning, everyone. It is a great pleasure to be here with you, talking to you, and I would like to congratulate ILO for organizing this event. And I'm afraid the sound keeps breaking up.
São muito claros os objetivos de cuidar das pessoas, em especial.
I think that there's a special goal to take care of disabled people. The most fundamental thing is solidarity, and solidarity, I think, is what really brings us together, and also what makes us work to achieve the SDG and to really achieve these fundamental goals, so that globally we can have social inclusion and we can promote solidarity. The idea really is to create a global solidarity, which is regardless of national borders. We need to work every day to make sure that people strengthen to develop programs for the weakest and the disabled. I would like to also say hi to Juan, our local secretary, and I would like to thank once again for giving me the floor and sharing with you initiatives that we took locally. This opportunity we have here is to, if you want, have a conversation to create a new model to develop new partnerships and reduce people's suffering. Brazil was hard hit by COVID, and perhaps it was worse than in other countries. Unfortunately, the federal government denied the gravity, the severity of the situation. And the central government, or better, the federal government, didn't give absolute priority to this problem. President Bolsonaro made it clear that his priority was to save the economy and not people. And so we lost some 500,000 lives. As a consequence, we needed to focus on social problems that became very, very severe. People were struggling to do the most basic things, like having access to healthcare services, but also basic goods. And Brazil was plunged once again into that dark past that it had experienced as well previously. And unfortunately, the sound keeps breaking up. The connection is really bad.
Tanto do poder quanto da sociedade civil, que infelizmente a ausência de políticas públicas do governo federal nos deixou. Não houve no nosso país
The federal government left us alone, really. There was no national policy.
O prefeito falava uma coisa em seu município, o nosso estado falava uma outra, alinhada com o presidente.
There was no centrally organized policy. Everyone did their bits in a very fragmented way. So practically at a local level, what did we try to do in order to tackle this pandemic, We had Cidade Solidaria, a program that really focused on solidarity and tackle the problems that affected people on a day-to-day basis, like starving, not having enough food. And we declared that nobody was going to go hungry, and we really worked hard for that. Our government worked with the civil society, and we tried to coordinate actions with basic food parcels, basically, and baskets. With Cidade Solidaria, we set up like a canteen for poor people. We produce some 1,000 meals a day. It was managed by an organization called APJ, and the idea was to purchase from local producers and sell at cost, just to break even, so that we could support people who lived off street markets and who sold their own goods. So we purchased produce from local household farmers.
Fazer as suas ao volume que nós tivemos de aumento da população de.
And at the same time, we had an increase in the numbers of needy people. And despite that, we managed to guarantee that our city implemented even more initiatives for homeless people, people who lived in the street. We really focused on helping homeless people, and we did even more. For instance, we encouraged household farmers cooperatives, and also income generating programs that we implemented during the pandemics. Another element I'd like to stress here.
Alguns setores também.
And the sound is breaking up again. It is quite impossible to translate anyway.
Sorry.
We produced handmade and crafts, handicrafted products. That was another initiative.
Okay, Mayor, so sorry for the sound problems. We understand. Are you okay? We go to the next? Or have you fallen apart? I don't listen. I think
the connection is gone.
His mic went well. Doesn't went well. Okay.
Consegue me ouvir?
Now we can
Can you
hear
hear me now?
Yeah, agora já. Posso concluir?
Meu vídeo. Então, para concluir.
Now, to finish off, I would like to share with you an important message. In human life, we need to make sure that all of the actions we implemented with the civil society and all of the actions we undertook with our local politics made it possible to provide support that was fundamental at a time of crisis. And we also organized, for instance, a separate waste collection. We set up a partnership with them. We implemented another important project, Bank Lisa, which is like microfinance. In addition to that, we implemented other actions that aimed at creating an environment where where social and solidarity economic can play a role. And so really, I would like to thank you for inviting me to share, and I'm here at your disposal should you have any questions or need for clarifications. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Mayor Danielle. The same as the speakers before, you have a fan club in the public, and I think we will have some questions, but of course we are very inspired of your story. And also you really do a great work on localizing the SDG. There's a main message, leave no one behind. I think this is very, very impressive. So we will also come back to you. So I'm really excited that we will hopefully have a little bit of time. That's why I will ask Aminata to be straightforward. Aminata Diop is speaking to us from Senegal, and we have heard a lot on initiatives on the importance of economic grids, of trust, of solidarity, but of course nothing without also a financial support system. And here we have a great expert with us. She has not only prepared with several studies, so she's really a great professional in finance and law and public sector. She's also the general manager of the Fonds de Développement et les Solidarités Municipales of the city of Dakar. So she comes from the operational side and will give us a little bit of input on the sustainable financial system in these relations between the micro enterprises, the different initiatives, and the city governments. Aminata, the floor is yours, and I will now be warning you. I hope you can make it in 8 minutes. Thank you for being with us.
J'essaie d'aller vite, compte tenu du temps qui m'est imparti.
Considering the time, I will be brief. I work for the municipal development. I'm sorry, the sound is really too low for a proper translation.
Can you come more close
Sorry,
to the
I
mic,
can't actually
Aminata?
hear.
Can you come more close to the mic? It seems the translators have problems.
Yes, indeed.
Speak me?
Yeah,
Yes, better.
more close and speak louder so that translation is assured. Many people listen in Portuguese, Spanish, and English. Okay.
Est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Ah, perfect.
Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yes, we can.
C'est bon, merci. Voilà,
Thank
je
you.
disais que je suis
So I
au
would
niveau du
say
Fonds de
I
développement
am
municipal.
working for the Municipal Development Fund, an entity of Dakar City, the capital city of Senegal. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the organization and the ILO, which has given me the opportunity to present to you all the aspects which concern the financing. The Development and Solidarity Fund is a structure which finances, so we work in training, formalization and financing of our target group, mainly youth and women. Our main mission is to support young people in the creation of their businesses, as well as training them and finance women who wish and create their own enterprise. I take this opportunity to talk about the various aspects that we control in our municipal fund, especially in education and training of women. We realized that it was a major constraint vis-a-vis this target group. So for them, and this year, we set up an important program which is linked to the empowerment program for women. We took advantage of this program to train, finance, and especially in the field of financial education, teaching women to be able to have a current account, as well as helping them and understand what it means to be an entrepreneur, and also the notion of mastering social and solidarity economy concepts. And so we train more than 13,000 women in the field of entrepreneurship and the creation of businesses. There is another entity that we call the incubator in the city of Dakar, with partners like the Association of International Mayors set up in Marseille.
La dynamique de création d'emplois des jeunes.
Sorry, the sound went off. And so we have as an aim the creation of jobs for young people. Young people could be possibly graduated and not know anything about the economics basic elements, especially in terms of how to use the specific fund created for them. Along the same logic, we set up an important network, a network of actors and territorial communities for SSE, representing all the activities of local communities in the field of SSE. It is important to underline this. Why? Because very recently Senegal voted a law, a framework law in 2021 in the field of SSE, which enables local communities to create and implement strategies to finance, support and train the actors of SSE. So incentives were also offered, and for such local communities who would like to promote the sector of solidarity economy, a specific support fund for them within the framework of this, that is considering the pandemic. I'd like to draw your attention on the fact that in Dakar, 2 micro and small enterprises that we support with our own funds were strongly impacted by COVID-19. The population at the same time, women and young people, was really suffering during this pandemic in the city of Dakar. What did we do? We set up specific measures to support them, and the state also supported them. The city of Dakar created 100 million fund to support the Ministry of Health in its endeavors to fight and struggle against the COVID-19. We set up health kits for the city of Dakar, which were delivered to the local certified hospitals. We also supported all the 19 municipalities in view of preserving their economy, and a specific fund created for the disinfection activities, health kits, food kits in cooperation with the associations. They were delivered to social enterprises in order for them to continue their activities and be more resilient, considering the suffering and the problem created by pandemic. I continue with other incentives and measures that we made available to social centers, cultural centers. Such centers were created in order to reabsorb, so to speak, people who were suffering at the hospital. And in fact, these centers were able to welcome children and also people who were really, really ill. It was necessary to strengthen the economic and social and solidarity economy that were strongly impacted, especially women. Thing that we did in this domain to enable, in terms of regulations, to manage a good legal framework through also derogations to some measures. So it was important to relaunch all the enterprises that were really struck, the enterprises of artisans, transformation or processing enterprises. We facilitated through public procurement initiatives, and it was also necessary to make the access to financing easier. In the structure which I manage, the Municipal Fund for Solidarity, we realized that basic organizations, enterprises had been impacted and they couldn't pay, couldn't reimburse the loans. What did we do? We proceeded to a rearrangement of these loans, and we also injected money through funds for them in order for them to be able to be financially viable. And at the same time, to the extent that we realized that such enterprises were really, really impoverished, we had to tackle a challenge. The main challenge touched two sectors, the market sector, the trade. You think of Senegal and Dakar, practically all of the main activities are commercial activities. So we had to prepare a support plan and resilience plan for them, for these actors, to support them and be able to stand on their feet during this pandemic, considering also the vulnerability they're subject to. So equally, other relaunch measures were undertaken to restructure the SSE domain, especially through the fund which I manage. And we had also to create incentives for social enterprises in order for them to be able to prepare the right products. So these measures were taken, and the state was really sensitive because the practical measures were adopted in order to facilitate the public procurement from these weakened economic structures. What about Dakar? Well, in Dakar, we enabled the municipal authority to facilitate the access to public procurement. As I said, that is very important because it's important to know that SSE enterprises sometimes have no access to such public procurement and so public tenders, so that they were able in this case to obtain orders from us. What else did we develop to counteract the negative effects of COVID-19? Well, strategies revolved around certain strategies. First of all, strategy including a specific municipal budget for young people. The second strategy to counteract the effects of COVID was to reorganize certain domains, but it was made on a customized basis. Yes?
May I ask you to conclude?
Yes, I'll sum up. The third strategy was to prepare partnership funds with new financial partners for Senegal to enable these entrepreneurs to, again, in terms of liquidity, and be able to adapt their offers to the new context. We also have other strategies to work in co-construction with the actors. So that was important to underline. And through the networks that we created, we have set up actors networks. And so we could get in touch with all the associations in Dakar. We trained them, we financed them, we relaunched their activities during this post-COVID time. I might come back to certain aspects later on, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Aminata, Diop, and so sorry for keeping the time so dominant, but we have now 10 last minutes before we come to the, or actually it's a little bit more than 5, before we conclude. And there were so many comments and questions in the chat, which I need to highlight. I think many of the participants are first really excited about the woman power. I hope, Danielle, you know how to, you understand me, what I say, but that there is so much leadership and it's so shiny. I think all the 5 leaders have shown incredibly the way forward, how to work and how important are municipalities. So picking a little bit up from the chat box on questions, there were mainly 3 blocks, I would say. The first block is about access. So the point of access is, there was about for Anna on the security, and but also the to Mayor Madelaine, the participatory way as an access to this project. How is this working in detail? So how do you ensure open access for all? Because this was also very clear. Many of you even talk about disabled to have particular projects and programs, but how do you ensure access to all? And the second was financial sustainability. So this in particular to the Philippines and to Brazil. How can you remain this financially possible over the time? And the third question was about the impact, which is how can you measure the impact of the work? So I would like now to give, please, every speaker to give 2 minutes, no, 1.5 minutes. I will stop the time to address one of these questions or to address also the other speakers, because I think all the presentations were very clear. We have really interesting and very important messages for a better world. And if you prefer to address what the other speakers have said, you're welcome. So we start with Anna, short 1.5 minutes.
Muito obrigada. No que diz respeito à questão da participação, obviamente que concitar a participação de grupos subrepresentados.
As regards the representation of underrepresented groups as part of our political objectives, that's why we tried to create opportunities so that underrepresented group could have a voice. And how did we do that? Well, we created opportunities for collective participation. We perform analysis and they translate into public policies. All of this is shared, is participative in nature. We are adopting methodologies in order to involve precisely those who are hardest to reach. And this is fundamental, because if we don't make sure that these people are part of the construction of Cidade, our project, we would not be really implementing what we want to. So the participation must start upstream when we run the analysis, when we try and understand the local needs. That's why I stressed it is important to produce contextualized knowledge. We can't only use standardized or European indicators, not even national. We really need to have local indicators, and that's why we need to involve people in many different settings. And the fact that we have a governance model that is very close to the people means that we can organize local councils, we can work with social enterprises and organizations, and thus reach the underrepresented. This clearly also entails investment in schooling and education. That's why we have different programs, not only for children to experience involvement, but we also have specific programs that involve children and youth with social economy
Thank you, Anna. I have to interrupt you. So sorry to give the chance to the others, but it's absolutely clear. I think your point, the point you make, local context is critical. Madelaine, maybe you can take over and give a little feedback on the questions and also to the other speakers.
In order to ensure that no one will be left behind, we created a council and at the same time focal persons of the respective villages, and the focal person must coordinate and with the respective agencies. So at least they have the equal opportunity to get involved as to participation is concerned.
Clear.
Also, we created policies that may reinforce the impact of SSE, which is the promotion and development of micro, small, and medium enterprise, improvement and enhancement of productivity of the agricultural sector, strengthen partnerships between local and national government, and of course, the key stakeholders in crafting anti-poverty strategies and integrating priority PPAs in the development plan of the city, strengthen competitiveness, ensure fast and reliable ICT services for online transactions with LGU and other stakeholders, and also promotion and development of cooperativism, and also operationalization of the integrated resilience initiatives for global agenda of the Iriga project that will provide a shared service facility as like a one-stop shop management team and partner agencies and institutions in providing services for training, for livelihood, entrepreneurial, and skill development, and also, of course, microfinancing.
Thank you so much, Madelaine. And now we go to Stephany. I hope the words Anna was saying is sounding to you. I know you are really an expert in this matter of SSE, but please give us your key idea on the three questions. And if you have time, of course, this global world also needs to be addressed. Thank you so much, Stephany.
Yes, thank you, Sara. With regards to access to how do we do it? How can everyone access to what we have? We made sure that each sector that I mentioned a while ago, the women, the persons with disability, the elderly, the fisher folks, the farmers, and everyone else, all of them are organized in each village and organized in federal federation, so meaning in the whole city, making sure that all of them are organized and then accredited, and all of them will be able to access our trainings, our financial assistance, our zero, and all of them are also given the ease of business licensing and processing to be able to start especially during pandemic. Also, how do we see the impact? More and more groups and individuals are actually applying for second and third round of capital, and more new applicants, or the new ones, are accessing our loans, our loans of zero interest. Also, we were able to acknowledge that online services and entrepreneurs locally is blossoming, and most of them engage in selling and producing, which is a very good example or an indicator that our local economic development is actually growing even at this time of pandemic.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stefana. And now we go again to Mayor Danielle. You have seen when we talk so much about woman power, this is not exclusively women. We are so happy to have mayors leading cities like yours. And so please give us a short closing remark, and maybe also about the sustainable of the processes, because you do so much beyond your budget and beyond your competence. So how do you sustain these processes over time? Danielle? Has problems with the connection. Okay. Danielle, we will keep you then for the final try to resolve. We go to Aminata. Aminata, you also have got a lot of very important feedback, some specific questions we do not have time to address. But of course, I think maybe with you, we could go a little bit to the global points that Stephany was saying. In the end, we cannot only talk locally, we need to see the global picture. And in a city like yours, and in a country like yours, I really like that you say in Dakar, everything is commercial. So globally, how do you think that these initiatives can contribute to global competitiveness that you are supporting?
Je vous remercie. Je disais que
Thank you very much for this question. I was saying that 80% it's informal sector and trade sector. So one of our initiatives in Dakar, I'm talking about how we financed commercial activities. So we defined these financial mechanisms, and we decided to focus some specific sectors, so the added value sectors. So we focused on that and we limited the others. Problem of connection, sorry.
No. Financement, cela n'apportait pas du tout grand-chose. Enfin, le programme est
so the program is limited to the Dakar city, and we try to work in the network of all the actors, and we try to replicate the same initiative at the national level by taking into consideration all the strategies that we carried out in Dakar and that were successful. And so we try to replicate that at the national level. And I would like to remind you that Dakar was chosen by the International Forum for SSC to be the hosting city in 2024. So Dakar will be the actual city that will host the international meeting of the SSE. So that's because we have been recognized as a pioneer in this. And to go back to some questions, someone said, someone asked, I would say that enterprises and individual organizations and collective organizations and enterprises can be financed and can receive grants and financing by us. We have individual organizations and other groups, other commercial organizations, enterprises, all the categories can actually be apply in our city in the framework of the project that I
Thank you so much, Aminata. And this was also, of course, well deserved in 24. Maybe we will see again. Now I would like to, I think Danielle is back. So, Danielle? Mayor Danielle? Yeah, Prefeito, yeah, please go ahead.
Conseguem me ouvir, companheiros?
Sim.
Sim, então, pessoal, muito importante a gente destacar.
Well, it is
I think it's very important to understand also the role that everyone plays, namely the role of women. And this, of course, has a great impact on these people. And that's the reason why, during the pandemic, we created a very important project, a Casa da Mulher, the Women's House, welcoming women, victims of violence. And the idea is, in fact, to receive all these women that are suffering. Always at the beginning, at the pandemic, more than 100 women, in fact, that were welcome in our house. Another project, we created also another center for women, again, victims of violence, but this time they were also requiring immediate action or attention. A woman, for instance, that could not go back to her home. And because this is also having a great impact for these people, they don't know who to talk to, who to turn to. And then the municipality decided to set up this kind of center where women could also bring their children with a leisure space, etc. And it is once the situation gets back again, then the women can go back to their place or to their homes, but otherwise they would stay with us. We registered, for instance, all professional women, for instance, for handicrafts or hand productions,
in our area, and
everything that has to do with sewing. And they created lots of different tools that we used during the pandemic. And here, for instance, masks, protection masks that they themselves created. And it's very important also to remember
there's a double translation in English.
E entra em parceria com a nossa comunidade, a possibilidade é que, unidos com o mesmo propósito, o sofrimento diminua e as coisas possam melhorar, em especial na vida de quem mais precisa.
Thank you very much. Muito obrigado, Daniel. And it was very nice you show also this aspect, which is only possible if we have mayors in the table, because you do on every field, in every topic, you innovate and you go ahead and provide services to leave no one behind. So thank you very much for this panel. And now to conclude, I am inviting my friend Juan Carlos Díaz. He's working in the Andalusian Fund for Solidarity. He is an expert of local economic development. And maybe I also announce in order, like Aminata, that we also have a group. Many of you have said that you are inspired of who was of the other speakers. So these dialogues are happening in UCLG, and the person who is managing this is Juan Carlos together with Paula. They are the coordinators of our LED committee. So please be in touch with him. And we are now curious on the lessons and the takeaways he will give us. And apologies with the interpreters for 5 minutes more. Juan Carlos.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. First of all, congratulations to all the panelists. Your ideas and projects are very interesting. I'm going to talk about some of the ideas that I thought are interesting. First of all, what Umbelino said, we must think about new models of development after the COVID crisis. It's very important to interchange local experiences and the participation of all actors. She was talking about the Center of Studies for Social Economy that identifies the objectives for sustainable development, and that includes the communities and puts the communities in the first place, especially those groups of more vulnerable people, of course, offering them programs of education. And she was talking about the importance of ecosystems of proximity that's put in the center of the social and economic life, the individuals, the human beings. And she also was saying that a very important tool is, of course, the public procurement as something that can help this social and solidarity economy. And she said also that it's important to develop cooperative and innovator models and in cooperation with other cities, something that we are doing during this academy. And Madelaine Yorobe was talking about her experience on the Council of Development of her city. And you see, the members of the city are the most important elements of this program, and where the human being must be at the center and the activities must be bottom up. So it's very important, the participation of local community. And among the concrete mediation is diversification between fisheries and agriculture, and of course the inclusion of youngsters and giving programs of credit, of course, with low interest and activities of skilling. And she was talking about the importance of the alliances between local governments and also to help competitivity of micro and small enterprises. And Stefan also talked about an initiative to help cooperatives in different sectors through programs of education, online services, and technical assistance, and help to finance the finance aspect. And people are part of the solution, he was saying, and this is a very important idea, especially when we think that these people sometimes don't have a voice. So it's very important to include these vulnerable groups and include the families, because these families are helping and pushing the economy. And then Daniel was talking about solidarity. Of course, this is very important for the social inclusion and harmony, and public policies are very important. And when they don't exist, and when the economy comes before people, well, there is more inequality. And he talked about concrete programs and the mobilization of civil society, like public restaurants and other specific programs to help women. And in his message, he said, we don't have to ignore the human life, but the people must be participate in the local activities. And Amina talked about the fund of local development and directed to the young people and women to finance projects. And this is very important, but she also said that it's very important to have framework regulations and laws at national but also local level. And she talked about 4 strategies to define the budget to help these SSEs and to help the sector and to help the entities and help the networks of actors and associations. And 3 things that Sara said. She was saying that it's important that the agenda to 2030 is so important and requires the participation of local government. And second, to develop the SDGs, it's important to create a relationship with the territory and the people. And it's important to help the cities and networks. And I think this webinar is the example of this. And this is a little wrap up of what you said. And thank you very much and congratulations. Very well, Juan Carlos. Thank you very much. Please leave us your contact, the contact of the Commission of the local economic development. As you see, I already changed my screen. I heard so many powerful women, and well, we thank the ILO. Thanks for this session. This session was really fruitful, not only for you, but also for me. And this is a lot because it has been very well prepared by Martin and Roberto, who really went after us so that we could be here today and could give the sense to the messages that we cast the necessary light to analyze all the territories from where you are talking to us. And you made us feel the reality of your places, and you have a lot of energy, and you leader your communities in a very nice way. Thanks to all the participants for such an incredible series of questions and comments. I hope that next time we'll be able to meet in person and see you so soon. And thank you very much to you all. And thanks to the interpreters. Muchas gracias. Gracias por su moderación, a Sara, a los ponentes. Tengo un
access all the presentations. There were PowerPoint presentations, but very long one, very nice ones. You can find them in the eCampus. We also got now the video for Iriga city. You find that one also on the eCampus. This afternoon, in about less than an hour, we're going to have again the marketplace, you know, the place where we wanted to exchange last time, and then we had a technical glitch. We tried out, we tested this morning with some of you, it worked out. So what we are going to do is we are going to send you an email before, you know, right before the start of it with a link, and you can join it, and this is where you're going to freely move around, meet everybody, and exchange. We left the topics of last week there so that you can discuss about the same topics because it was not possible. This time, I promise the voice will be working, okay? Fantastic. I want to see you there. It will be really nice to see you. And this is the last part of the interpreters. I know they are getting tired. We are trying to make a group picture now, okay? So how are we going to do this with that nobody sees each other? Well, my colleague Cristiana will leave a link in this chat box here of another Zoom where we can just take the picture. There will be no more interpretation, but pictures and smiles are international. So you please click now on the link that you're going to find in the Zoom chat, in this one. You will be transported into a Zoom meeting where we will see each other, all of us. We take the group pictures, and then you are free. Okay? Thank you so much. See you in a second in the group, in the big group picture group. Bye, everybody.
Daniel, try to get the photo. Don't abandon us for the group pictures.
Yeah. Please, everybody, click on the chat. But in this chat, there is a link.
People will want to be with you in the picture.
Secondo te tu hai... Ah no, ce l'ho solo io, vero?
Stefania, we can hear you. Okay.
So we have to abandon and join the new meeting.
Yeah,
exactly.
You leave here and you go to through the meeting, the link that you have in the chat.